Now, another thing you can do is use wax resist. So I'm going to apply some wax resist to this one. Same exact glaze. And wax resist, where you put it, the oxide won't stick. So that's how I did this. I put a spiral of the iron on, framed it just like I did on that other plate. So iron and rutile, cobalt and rutile, iron and rutile, and then wax resist. And then I came back after the wax had dried and did a little drawing. Now this wax is thickened up a little bit, so just like with the other, make it a little bit more brushable. Don't water it down too much, but make it a little more brushable. I'm going to add just a taste of water. Okay. Got it centered. I'm going to frame it with the iron and rutile. Dripped a little bit, so I'll take advantage of that. Maybe another circle. Now I'm going to take some wax and go over the top of that. And where I put the wax, it's going to seal it. And the other oxide won't affect it. So now, I'm going to spin it, start in the middle, and work my way out. And the outside edge, I want to keep it fairly simple, so I'm just going to go with the cobalt and rutile on the outside edge. Now you have to wait for the wax to dry. It's dry enough where it's lost milkiness. You have to wait. Once it's lost its milkiness, then you can put other things on top. If it's still milky and wet, it will not resist. So, have some patience. Hard to do, but have some patience. I'm going to put a few lines of wax over the top. Now this wax, normally wax comes almost white, kind of milky. This has some food coloring in it, which stains it, so I can see where I've painted it. That color, the green color, burns away. So I'm going to let that dry and continue in a minute. Now the wax is just about dry enough. I'm going to go for it and go right over the top of that outside edge with the wax. See if it resists. Now make sure your wash is thin enough. It did resist. So everywhere the wax is, there are little beads of the iron and rutile wash. You do another band of that down here. I could take a little sponge brush like this and get all those little beads off. I don't have to. If I leave those on there, the wax burns away. Those little bits of iron oxide are sitting there, and they'll melt right into the glaze and create little spots. The center part, I'm just going to spin it around and put some of the cobalt and rutile on there. So that'll be a blue to green. One more little bit. There. I'm going to come back just add some accents. Just use a smaller brush for this, just to highlight the edges a little bit. And you can use the wax, you'll get a much finer line that way. So you can get a very complex looking design very quickly and easily. One last thing that you can do, if you want a really fine line, you can take a needle tool and do some sgraffito through the wax. Sgraffito is scratching, so I'm just drawing a fine line through the wax into the glaze, but not all the way down to the clay. Then you can take it, contrasting oxide wash, and inlay it. So I've done drawings like this. I've drawn butterflies and fish, just coating the whole plate with the glaze, and then coating the glaze with wax, and then sitting down and carving through it with the needle tool, and then inlaying either this, or you could also use a contrasting glaze. Glaze is a little more difficult because it's thicker. This is a very concentrated color. So this is how you do oxide washes. Here's an example of Celadon. It's a Celadon glaze. Cobalt is that deep blue on the outside, and this ring here, banded with the iron, and then wax resist in this design here. Let that dry, and then brushed over the top of it with the iron and rutile. Thank you.